Tell me how you do instant noodles in the comments. Does that actually work? To be honest, I would love to know how you make your instant noodles. Hi, I'm Eric Kim. I'm a cooking columnist for the New York Times. Today I'm going to show you 5 creative ways to use instant noodles. My whole life, I have had instant noodles at my fingertips. It's something that's always in the pantry. Most people will go into their pantry and there'd be cereal and potato chips. We had instant noodles in college. It's something I used to eat like maybe twice a week. Now I eat it once a week. Life is so hard already. It's like instant noodles are just like there, and when the quality is so great. And especially when you do little things like this picture shows, adding whatever crisper drawer vegetables you have, scallions, egg, like it's a really substantial meal. What I grew up with is Shin Ramen. I love this thing, not necessarily just for its like flavor or anything, but because I watched it go from like my childhood snack to being this like bodega staple in New York. It's really cool. Anyway, my point is that these are all really readily available anywhere. So today I kind of just want to show you different situations in which instant noodles can be considered a really useful pantry item in the same way that you would be boiling spaghetti on a Tuesday night. This is sort of just my like kibon. In Korean just means like standard. This is my way of making instant noodles when I want to eat and I'm really hungry. Usually it's midnight. And this is a pot that's kind of like a great pot. And it's something you can get at the houseware section of most Asian grocery stores. And it's a ramen pot. The noodle fits perfectly into it. Isn't that great how like perfectly it fits? One thing my mom used to do is boil from cold water, and as soon as it comes to a rolling boil, she would stop, and it would be like this very chewy noodle because it's been like cooking very evenly. I asked her about it once. She's like, I never do that. I always wait for the water to boil first. I was like, she's like gaslighting me. It's like, my mom doesn't remember teaching me that, but she does that. A lot of people put the soup packet and the vegetables in with the water first and make the broth. I don't like that because it's not like pasta where you have to like season the water. I like to flip it, and what that means is all the seasoning is now dispersed into the water. Most people will probably put the little crackery parts into the water as well, but I find that kind of annoying. They make the broth a little like cloudy, so usually I just eat them. They're very crunchy and delicious, and these noodles are fried, so it's nice. It's like a little snack while you're waiting. Okay, now's the time I would probably add the egg. I don't like to touch it. You could like do the egg drop soupy thing and like, you know, swirl it around, but this is the way I like to do it because I like having like a nice piece of egg at the end. I actually don't puro it. Puro means to loosen the noodles, but I like to keep it in its shape. That keeps it pretty al dente. The noodles are definitely not cooked all the way, but they're still nice and chewy. The egg is cooking. By the time the egg finishes, this will be done. Okay, that's definitely done. I take the bowl that I want to use for the soup, and I take a colander, and I drain it into the bowl, and I put it back here. And this is just like a weird thing I do, but a teeny bit of sesame oil, not much. And what that does is it glosses it up, but also adds a nice nuttiness. It's like a deeper flavor that makes you go, huh, what is that? And then these gorgeous scallions. And that is my 12 a.m. dinner. This is the best part, actually. You take the egg, you pop it, and all that yolk oozes out, and you kind of like use it as a sauce. And look at that egginess. That's the real bite. Sorry, I buried the lead. That's a great bite. I'm excited about this one because sort of a little like callback to my very first byline at the Times when I was a baby, like 2 years ago. It was a quick kimchi story. Oh, there's a video. Flashback to that video. It's sort of a muchim. Muchim is a Korean like dressed salad. And this is a dressing made up of gochugaru, vinegar, sesame oil. I haven't made it in a while. What's in it again? Garlic, fish sauce? Yeah, you could do soy sauce if you want. This dressing is gorgeous. It's like really, really special, and you don't want to waste it. One thing that I was doing a lot was mixing the noodles into it, and it kind of becomes this like nice noodle salad. I'm gonna toss this into here. You can just drain the noodles. You can run them under cold water if you want to stop the cooking. Sometimes I'll actually just add the hot noodles straight in, and I'll eat the salad kind of like lukewarm. That's like it's a whole thing. It's like a whole other dish. I found that cilantro is really good with this, actually. You could do scallions, you could do nothing, but I like a little cilantro action. Very like roughly chopped. I love cilantro. This is our summer noodle option. It's kind of great that the noodle catches the leaves like that, so that every bite has like a little punctuation of cilantro. Man, it's so refreshing. Sometimes I might add like a soft-boiled egg to this if it's lunchtime and I have like 10 minutes instead of 5. This is truly like between meetings. I'm scarfing it down. The next one is a ramen carbonara. I don't think there's any Italian dish that angers people more on the internet than carbonara. This recipe is obviously not the Roman way. We're using instant noodles. This is something that I often am excited to make for myself. Like, I'll be really hungry at midnight and be like, I have bacon and eggs. Even if I don't have cheese, I'll make carbonara. Like, I'll make it anyway because I love it. So first what we did was we fried off some bacon. And in the pan that has still some of the bacon fat, there's also this great fond. Fond is a reference to the foundation, the flavor foundation on the bottom, all the stuck-on bits, the brown stuff. We're gonna make a nice sauce. Bring this to a boil. For something like carbonara, you really do kind of want freshly grated cheese. Pre-shredded cheese has all these stabilizers that make them sort of clump up in a liquid situation like this, so it's not really something you want. And I'm just using my spatula to scrape up the nice bacony bits on the bottom, because we want that in the sauce in the end. I just flipped it so that both sides cook. I'm not really gonna loosen the noodles too much yet, because I'm convinced that not loosening the noodles keeps them pretty al dente and chewy, and that's kind of nice. The hardest part about carbonara is keeping the egg velvety and not scrambled. And one way to do it is to just really make sure you are agitating while you add the egg. Another thing I do sometimes is I actually add some hot broth to the cold egg first. Room temperature eggs help. You know, doing this, using like this two-hand motion, it's like emulsifying. I might add it back to the heat to like finish. Add the rest of the cheese, add most of the bacon. For me, pepper is the taste of carbonara. Super creamy. I learned this from my friend Rebecca. She was like, turn the plate, not the noodle. I was like, wow. Whoa. That's a good catch. We fried an egg to put on top. And this is a very substantial midnight snack. It'd be a nice breakfast if you wanted pasta for breakfast. I think this is the move, right? Right into that egg yolk, get that dribble. It's really rich from the cheese, a lot of pepper. I think you could add salt if you wanted, but carbonara already has, you know, the cheese and the bacon, so I often get carbonara at restaurants because I'm obsessed with carbonara. Next, we're gonna make Hattie McKinnon's crispy sheet pan noodles with glazed tofu. This is just a great way to get some protein and veg and carb in your body. It's a lovely weeknight meal. You can make it in 30, 35 minutes. What's really cool about the recipe is it calls for 3 packets of those dried instant noodles, and you just pour over some boiling water just from a kettle. And you let that sit for just 5 minutes and you drain it. So that's what we have here. These are just noodles that have been soaked and drained. They're still very al dente, like not cooked through. You're gonna just season it with some soy sauce, sesame oil, a little neutral oil, and salt. I'm just tossing those seasonings in. Look how bouncy they are. It's really satisfying. Just gonna put it on a sheet pan, save the bowl because we're gonna add the bok choy to it. Bok choy goes in here, oil and salt. Oh, they're so delicate. They're like, don't work me too much. This is an incredible glaze, and it's hoisin sauce, maple syrup, sesame oil, sesame seeds, and garlic. We reserved some of it so that we can drizzle it over the top, but we did toss these in the marinade. So the tofu is sort of ready to go. So you take the tossed tofu and you are gonna lay it between the noodles. You do wanna like nestle it into the noodles so that it's in contact with the pan. That's gonna help it get nice and like crispy. The oven's really hot, it's at 450. We're gonna roast this for 15 minutes on the bottom rack. And now we're gonna pull this out. Yum. All right, gorgeous. What's really cool too is the noodles, the way they're like slightly chewy. These are the bok choy that I seasoned with oil and salt. We're just gonna add them to the top. The tofus were already cute. The bok choy is like adorable. These are gonna roast for a little bit longer. Just 4 to 7 minutes. Wow, gorgeous. Doesn't that just look inviting? Wow, gorgeous. You have some remaining marinade left over, and just gonna like drizzle it over the tofu a little bit. Just like, you know, some cilantro on top to finish it. When someone says they don't like cilantro, I really believe them. I think it's like, you can't help it if it tastes like soap to you. So use parsley. I love the noodles are crispy. You know, they're crispy on top, but still like chewy on the bottom parts. This is like something I would want on a Wednesday night after work. So easy to put together. Not just that, really fun. This is a banger. Definitely make this one. I'm really excited about this recipe. This one actually took a really long time and it was very deliberate. I was working on kind of like minimal pastas and I was trying to figure out how to do like a gochujang pasta. One interesting thing about gochujang is it has a great fermented flavor, but it's a deep flavor. It's like, if you think about flavor as like a gradient, deep, kind of sweet, earthy notes, that's gochujang. But what happens is a lot of the gochujang pasta recipes out there, I noticed that they just leave it there and then they add butter maybe, which is also a low note. And they kind of just like maybe salt and pepper and that's it. Maybe tomato paste, which has a little bit of acidity. So I wanted to do a gochujang pasta that had everything, that had high notes, had middle notes, had sweetness, and spiciness and balance. I'm always reminded that gochujang, as lovely as it is, it needs friends. It needs things to like pick it up. I'm going to boil the water. You can do a full pound of pasta, but I think the joy of instant noodles is it's a single portion already. And that's really helpful when it's just you. I'm not like the best with my knife work, but if I can slice it as thinly as possible, then what you end up with are like gorgeous like shavings. I personally think that it looks really cute. So I've got these gorgeous scallions. I like to like smash them first and then run my knife through. Do a very like coarse mince. I'm gonna start the sauce now. Butter, I'm gonna add the garlic to it. Salt. You don't want the garlic to burn. The salt will draw out some water. You hear that sizzling because it's the garlic letting out its water into the fat. I'm gonna add the noodles now, just because it's finally boiling. With your tablespoon measure, I'm gonna like add a tiny bit of oil to it, just like swirl it around. Gochujang, see how nicely that like slipped right out? Sherry vinegar, it's really nice in this. It needs a little honey, you need a little sweetener. And now, bring it back on the heat and bring it to a boil, and this is all gonna bubble up into a lovely glaze. You could use tongs if you want, but I'm just gonna add it straight. This is gonna finish the sauce. Tiny bit of butter to gloss it up at the end. This is a little trick, a little shaky shake. This helps the sauce kind of cling to the noodles more, makes them shiny and glossy. And that's basically it. We have our gochujang noodles here. It's really special. It's like really intense. The vinegar is significant, but you need that acid to balance out the sweetness of the gochujang. It's like a new taste. I'm really happy with it. The noodles are a building block. A packet of ramen might look like just a packet of ramen, but there's a lot of potential in that little packet. You can just make it from the packet and according to the instructions, and they tend to be very delicious. Even just adding an egg, adding some scallions, or say roasting it on a sheet pan with vegetables and tofu, or making your own sauce to go with it, like a gochujang buttered sauce. As much as I love rice, noodles are more fun to eat, right? Yeah, that's the ending, right? What I really want is to see you guys eating it. Get in there.
That's so good. Those are delicious.
Oh my god. Wow, an explosion of flavor in my mouth.